We continue learning Kitzur Yaimi. We're in the middle of Siman Yud Gimel Sif Beis. Teaches the Kitzur Koidim Sheikhnas L'Taycham. Before you go into the Beis HaKnesses, the Beis HaMedrash, Yikanech Estit Raglov, should wipe off your shoes, Yashkiach, and make sure Shliya Love Aloy Al Gabav Shom Lechlach. You're walking into the king's house. You make sure you're dressed presentably. Mutter Li Behem. If you need a spit, you're allowed to split on the floor of a shul. He quotes in the bottom, the Mishnah Brura, that Hasidim do not. And Shartzian says that Avada, if you're not going to spit in your house, you don't spit in Hashem's house, which obviously means that nowadays this halacha is not nageya, because it's no one is spitting in their own houses. No one should be spitting in Hashem's house. Av Yishav Sheitekal B'Raglov, he should immediately rub the spit into the ground. Sif Gimel Ein Nichlas Avem, you don't enter into the Beis HaKnesses. You're not allowed to utilize the shul for mundane purposes, to shield you from the elements. Of course, the common halach that everyone knows, that if Lamaisa says, Mishnah Brura quoted in note 9, that if someone goes in and says a few words of Torah, then obviously it's mutter. Now one might ask, come on, that's a joke. But the answer is that we don't understand the power of a few words of Torah. You're right, your ikr, your main intent is to save yourself from getting wet. But the bottom line is, you learned a few extra words. You have to go into the Beis HaKnesses to call your friend or other reasons. Go in and read a few psukim, mishnah, hear something from someone else. Hang out there a little bit. We learned already, being in the shul, in the makim kedusha, is a level of a mitzvah. So at the very least, hang out there for a few moments. Continue with Sif Dalet, also lecha lishtois, one and eat or drink or leash or sleep, afilu, bahem, afilu shina zara, even a nap. L'tzerach mitzvah, kamlili yom kippurim, mutter lishoin. One is allowed to sleep. Some have the minhag to sleep in the shul on Yom Kippur, not to leave the shul. But don't be right by the Aron. And similarly, Lachol Sham, L'tzerach mitzvah, Suda, Miel, Shein by Shechras, V'loy Kalas Roish, then it's mutter. Those people, if you're learning there, then Mutar and Lachol V'lisha in Sham, Filushinas Keva. Why? Shalos Batzalam, Milimudam, you don't have to interrupt your learning. So Lamaisa, you're allowed to do these actions. At the bottom they point out, but Avada, when cannot act in an inappropriate manner. Finally, they require Hayra from Tamachacham, how and what manner to build it. At the bottom in note 22, they point out the height, the layout of the building. There's many different halachas. The shul is supposed to be the tallest building in town, etc., etc. And we continue with Siv Yodalid, Siv Yodalid, the halachas of Sukkot Zimra. Says the Kitzur min Hodu, Adalachar Ashira, till after the Shir Shalyam, how's Yashir, Hey Mab Sukkot Zimra, Baruch Shamar, he brach Shalaf now, Yishach Baruch L'Shachrel. It's important to keep that in mind. Psukei Zimra is one big bracha from Baruch Shamar all the way to Yishtabach, and therefore, Misheischa Baruch Shamar lacher gemar tefillah also lafsik with you're not allowed to talk if you lashon hakodesh. Chayvachol bakishot lafsik also if you lashon hakodesh. Talking in Hebrew does not make him mutter, and therefore you're not allowed to talk from Baruch Shamar until afterwards. However, let's say you're being mafsik for a mitzvah. Yishchalik beim Sukkot Zimra uber chayzel. There's a chalik between Sukkot Zimra and the brachas. The brachas being Baruch Shamar Nishtabach. The Kriyash Abir Chayzel and the Kriyash Shema. Sukkot Zimra feel beim Baruch Shamar Yishtabach. Im Shemei is that bracha mutalanas amein. During Psukei Zimra, one is allowed to answer Amin to another bracha. Note number 12, they point out that you cannot answer Amin to someone else's bracha, Baruch Shem Yishtabach, when you're middle of Baruch Shem Yishtabach. But you're allowed to answer Amin to the brachas. V'chein, im shayim eiyash hakol amrim kriyashma, amrim abach l'shma Yisrael, kolshkein l'kadosh kedusha baruch hu, t'motel l'havstik l'niyas min hakal. During Psukei Zimra, you're allowed to answer that. If it's possible that you will interrupt in a place, in a break between paragraphs, that is the best. Feel makom has to keep chain nizkar b'gemara. V'chein hanusach yisbarach v'yishtabach. Sharm shachazim menagin baruch hu. The people say when the chaz says baruch hu lo yoimar. Kim chain elaminag. V'chein masracha v'rachetziadav use the bathroom during Pesukei Zimra. Near Lee says the Kitzur de lo yoimar b'rech sashay yatzar. Kim shachlam rachakach. You can say it afterwards. You have to remind yourself somehow. See sashay yatzar after Pesukei Zimra. And the command Siman Chas. Continue with Siv Beis. You hold the two tzitzis in front of you. Two front tzitzis. You're on Baruch Shem Ramida. Tishla Mula Tishbachais. When you finish Mula Tishbachais, Inashkim Yomar, you kiss your tzitzis and you put them down. Yomer Kol Pesukei Zimra Menachas Ubenima. Calmly and pleasantly, Lemrutza, not fast. V'yedaktek b'chol ha'tevois. Ki'ilu hayamayneya ma'ois, as if you are counting money. When you say Pesukei Zimra, you should have intent. A lot of intent. And should daven quietly. Klal Yisrael by Pesukei Zimra should daven for parnasav and lokim b'klal afilu b'diavad. Sarlach Zleimer Kavana is startling halacha. You have to go back. Bein Alilim, Bein Hashem, Hashem Asa. And I do. Sarlach success. You have to wait a little bit. And finally, we conclude with Sif Gimel. Says the Kitzur Yizar Shliga B'Shas Pesukei Zimra Koshkin Achar Gemar Achar Gemar Tefillah. You should not touch. Certainly during the brachas of Kriya Shema. Covered parts of the body, in your head. Also, you pick your nose or your ears. Less using a tissue. If you did touch these areas, you have to wash your hands. And if you can't move and get water, and you can't start, wipe your hands off. Pick it up from Siftalit B'siyata Dishmai.